It's time now for Focus. We head this morning to the French town of Vesoul, a town that has come to be known here in France as something of a recruiting ground for the Islamic State group. It was there that a group of friends were drawn together by their common conversion to Islam, but a far more radical Islam than the one on offer at the local mosque. Instead, the hardcore and sectarian views that they sought were to be found in Islamic State group propaganda on the internet. Soon enough, they traded their peaceful life in eastern France for the Syrian battlefields, joining the ranks of the Islamic State group. This report by Hakim Abdelhalek and Nicholas Rushworth.
Vesoul in eastern France is a small town, quiet, population 15,000. Unemployment here is around the national average. There is no more crime than elsewhere. A dozen people left here to fight the jihad in Syria at the end of 2014. They were young, all French nationals, most recently converted to Islam. Benjamin, who worked in sales in his father's business, became a fighter for the Islamic State organization. His partner, Anaïs, was specialized in events organizing. Lucy, his sister, had a series of small jobs. Her partner, Omer, was in the construction industry. Romain was the son of a soldier. Nicolas, son of a pharmacist and doctor. And there was a teacher's son, Sébastien Younes. And Pierre Choulet, who was the first to leave, several months before the others. Pierre's mother keeps a precious souvenir of her son.
This is his bike. That's all there is. He always loved being on it.
Interested in sport, he wanted to become a sports teacher. He spent 16 months in Syria before blowing himself up in Iraq in February 2015. Do you understand what happened?
Understand? Yes, we understand that he was indoctrinated, tricked. They were stronger than us. He didn't understand any of it. He thought he was leaving to do some good, but once he was out there, he could never come back.
What do you mean he thought he was going to do some good?
Humanitarian work, helping the poor Syrians, was how he put it. We saw in his emails over a year that he was doing sport with Syrians, giving them food, doing good. And there came a point when we saw that he had really converted to the cause.
So how did these young, middle-class French people become members of the Islamic State organization? They all lived in pleasant homes in the Vesoul suburbs. Benjamin and Anaïs lived in a comfortable family house before leaving for Raqqa. Everyone in the group had a good standard of living. They were not struggling financially. Benjamin's father didn't want to be filmed, but he agreed to show the clothes his son was wearing before he left for Syria, symbols of a Western lifestyle he had rejected. Benjamin wore this?
Yes, and not jeans or things like that.
After he converted to Islam?
That's right. They weren't wearing American things and stuff like that.
And what did you say to yourself when you saw that? Did you ask them why they were dressing like that?
No, because I knew they didn't want to wear American clothes anymore, trainers and so on.
Members of the group had enjoyed evenings out drinking in bars with mates, but that ended. Pierre, a friend, saw them gradually take a distance. Did you continue seeing them after they converted?
Yes, at the start, but then they stopped coming out. Partying wasn't their thing, so I didn't see them again. We bumped into each other from time to time and chatted for 5 minutes, but they didn't talk about anything specific. Nothing about religion or football, just small talk.
How did they get radicalized? Did someone recruit them? Things began on the internet. As for lots of others, a film played a key role. It presented a conspiracy theory casting doubt on the great scientific discoveries and saying that everything had already been written in the Quran.
A new study says the news media have been pushing a gospel of godlessness on the American public.
Benjamin and Romain seem to have been the group's leaders. Benjamin took Anaïs, his sister Lucy, and her partner Homer. Romain persuaded his fiancée to follow him. The group attended the Vesoul mosque, which is where they met a young Muslim who showed them a series of violent films.
They were really into videos showing what was happening in Syria and Palestine and talking about it on Facebook.
What were they posting?
Well, it was a video showing children screaming, calling for help.
They saw the teaching at the mosque as too liberal, not radical enough. It was not what they wanted to hear. That's the explanation Romain made in a propaganda video filmed in Syria.
The Islam they were preaching wasn't Islam. It was a French version aimed at pleasing non-believers. They told me to shave my beard and not to wear my traditional tunic. Why? Because it scared the non-believers. It wasn't good for Islam and so on.
They left Vesoul to go to Syria in 2014 without telling anybody. Some went to Turkey by car to cross the border there. Vesoul's deputy mayor feels their departure shows just how much power a sect can exert. These young people were far from what you'd call deprived.
That's why I think the only explanation is the appeal of a sect. How does a sect work? Anyone can be drawn into one if they're vulnerable psychologically and have been disappointed professionally or in their personal lives. People who've been looking for themselves. Well, a sect in such cases can put the irons on and never let you go.
Benjamin, Anaïs, Lucy, Omer, Romain, Nicolas, and Sebastian Younes are still believed to be in Syria. Almost all their relatives told us they had little hope of ever seeing them again, alive.
That was this morning's focus.